My name is Mike Renick. I'm the senior broker, the team lead with Team Renick Real Estate Services, part of that great Keller Williams on the Water, Sarasota family, proudly serving the west coast of Florida, Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch, Venice, and all the surrounding islands. It is Thursday, September 6th. We're starting to slide into fall. Temperature will be changing in many areas of the country. Colors will be changing on the leaves. For me personally, it's a great time of the year. Welcome to Mike Takes the Gloves Off. Every Thursday morning, what I'd like to do is talk about a topic that could be frustrating for you as a buyer or a seller, could be something that I've seen happen that really bothers me in terms of performing business the right way, the ethical way. I love it. People talk ethics, but not everyone follows it the way they should. But today what I wanted to address is what happens when your home has been on the market for sale for too long. Do you fire your agent? Or what's the best course of action? So here's what I recommend. Let's go back to the beginning, bring your agent in and sit down. Go back to the very first steps. And here's what we do when we assess a listing, whether we can get it sold or not, is we take a look at the home or the condo or the vacant land, and we look at conditions, we look at locations, we look at overall market. So bring your agent in, ask them to share with you, is it a buyer's market in your neighborhood? Is it a seller's market? And then based on that, what specific plan have they designed to market your home? And where are they on that plan? If your agent has a one-size plan that fits all, that generally won't work because each area is different. And your desires and motivations are different in terms of how fast you may want it sold and for what dollar. So go back to the beginning. We have found there's two things that are required: the correct price and an aggressive global marketing campaign that's designed specifically for that property. Our campaign in a buyer's market, when we list a property, is much different than our campaign in a seller's market or a neutral market. So go back to the beginning and ask your agent to show you that information. And you'll be able to tell by the way they answer the questions. And I would ask for charts and graphs. You're really testing to make sure that agent understands the market, because I guarantee you it's going to be very difficult to sell if the agent doesn't understand the market. So I would go back there, ask him or her to educate you in terms of what's going on. So the next step is you've looked at the market, you've looked at the agent's plan, but here's some specific questions. One of the things I would ask is, in my neighborhood or my condo association, how long is it taking to get a property sold? So if the average for this home and this price point is 4 months, where have we been at on the market? If we've been on the market for 6 or for 7 or for 5 months, we're past the average. Something is wrong. If we've been on the market a couple of months and the average is 4 months, we're still ahead of that curve. And maybe some tweaks to the marketing campaign, maybe some tweaks to pricing. I don't like to ask for price changes. The right pricing should be done up front. So maybe some tweaks to try to move you ahead so you're better than the average. But that'll give you a good indication. So let me address if it's behind the average. So the average is X months. Another thing to look at, how many homes in your neighborhood are on the market today? And how many homes are selling per month? So if there's 15 homes for sale in your neighborhood or condo association, and they're selling 3 per month, what that means is if nobody else comes on the market, it's going to take 5 months to sell that inventory based on the current statistics. Unless the market shifts, it will take 5 months. Now, every seller's position is different. You may or may not have 5 months. Now, the way you leverage that, if you want to try to do it faster, is a change to the marketing program or ultimately a change to the price. And again, when we sit down with a client, we have the charts, we have the graphs, we show this data so that you can see. So let's talk about pricing. Pricing is the easy variable to change, but unfortunately, whether we like it or not, and I'm speaking to you as a professional real estate broker, whether we like it or not, it's become more like a stock market. Buyers are running around with real estate apps on their phone. You've got access to everything on the internet. So they know the market well. And a buyer is not going to offer us $55 if it was a stock market for a piece of stock that's worth 48. Even if it's worth 53, they won't. The housing market is moving closer and closer to that kind of phenomenon. So we have to take a look at all the above variables. So I like to break it down. The next step is dollar per square foot. So if you have a certain size home and you're selling it at X, you can divide the two out and come down to $1 per square foot. Now let's look in the neighborhood. Of the homes currently on the market, where does that place you? Does it place you above average or below average? And when you see that, is your home in above average condition for that neighborhood? You may be in a very upscale neighborhood and a very nicely done home, but it could be average for that neighborhood. And if it's average and you've got a price at the top, that's something that has to be addressed. Now, dollar per square foot is an average metric. It isn't the end all be all, but it's a good place to start. You need to do modifications. I know upscale finishes, different kinds of flooring, the amount of land that's out there, pool, no pool, those kind of things all impact that. But these are all starts. And a good real estate agent or a broker should have this information readily available so that you can sit down together, because it is a partnership. Without that strong partnership, no matter how good the agent is or no matter how good the seller is, if the two don't have the working relationship, it's going to make it much more difficult. So it's imperative when you think about selling and you're interviewing agents, you find someone that you feel connected with. You find someone that you think you can develop rapport with. You find someone that's brutally honest. You find someone that's going to tell you the truth in terms of where the market's at. You know, we have gotten lots of listings the second go around because another agent shared they could get $50,000 more than what we proposed. Well, we showed the data, and the data didn't support that. The other agent didn't have any data to support that. And ultimately, the home didn't sell. That's not what you want. It's about getting it done the right way. Now, pricing is an art. So let's say you're putting it on the market, but you've got a year to sell it. We would price that differently than someone that has a job transfer that needs to turn it over in 60 days. And we never propose giving it away. That doesn't make sense. But it's understanding the market-based pricing. Three things have to happen. There's three prices. There's a price that the seller desires. There's a price that the buyer desires. There's also the market price. When the three of them come together, that's when a deal happens. So these are the kind of questions you want to ask your agent. You want to ask your broker. If they can't answer these questions, then you've got another decision that you have to make. But it's plotting this course together as a team, working hard. You know, when you look at marketing, there's so many different ways to market right now, but I will share this. Way over 50%. I've seen numbers as high as 85. I've seen them as high as 93% of potential buyers spend time on the internet at one point or another looking for homes. That tool, and the internet is not one tool, there's many tools embedded inside of it, has to be leveraged if you're going to reach. See, the key isn't reaching the most buyers. The key is reaching the most qualified buyers. If your home is one that's already move-in ready and it's at a certain price point, we need to reach those kind of buyers that are looking for that. If your home is one that it's older, it hasn't been updated, you think your buyer is going to want a good deal to update it, that's a different market. That's a different way to reach those folks. So it's a combination of all the above. When you sit there and you ask your agent questions, and they can provide the data supporting their answers, you know you have an educated agent. Just like in all fields. Not everyone works as hard as you'd like them to. We get that. So again, these are the things I would do to go through. And then after you assess all of this information, you can make any corrections to the current plan, and she working with your agent. Now, If you'd like an analysis of what your house is worth and it's not on the market, we can help you with that. No obligation. If you're currently on the market, we won't step in because we do not want to walk in between a relationship you have with your agent. That's unethical, and it's something we just don't do. But if you're contemplating a sale and it's free, there's no obligation, we'd be happy to sit down and talk about all of these things I just shared to help you. If you're currently under a contract, encourage your agent to do the same kind of thing. At the end of the day, the agent doesn't get paid. You don't get your property sold unless all of this comes together. Is selling real estate difficult? The process is not that difficult, but the steps are. In addition to all the technology, all the latest tools, and even some of the old ones, it takes plain old-fashioned hard work. And when you combine all the above, you have a successful deal. Now, if your house is worth $300,000 and you're trying to get $375,000, in today's market, it's almost unheard of. Inventory hasn't come back to the highest levels that we've seen in the past, but your buyers have all the information on their phones, laptops, and tablets. So it's all about bringing the market price in line, bringing the seller price in line, bringing the buyer's price in line where the three are close to each other. That's when you get close to getting a deal done. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My personal cell number is 941-400-8735. My email address is mike@teamrenick.com. Thank you for watching. Mike takes the gloves off. These will be unscripted, raw, from the heart going forward every Thursday morning, all designed to give you information to help you maneuver through the real estate process. Thanks, everyone. Have a great Thursday. If you need anything, if I can be of help, please let me know.